What's the biggest mistake most course creators make? Find out on this episode of Communicate for Impact Live.
Welcome to Communicate for Impact Live, sharing stories, making connections. We are Douglas and Lisa Marie Hatcher, and our job is to help solopreneurs and content creators write better content faster. And today we are delighted to welcome our guest, Rebecca Cuevas. Rebecca is the founder and CEO of Learn and Get Smarter Inc., and she is the author of Course Design Formula. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, Lisa Marie and Douglas. It's such an honor to be here with you today.
Woohoo, woohoo. Rebecca, welcome. We're so glad to have you here. Let's dive right in. Let's say somebody watching right now is thinking about creating an online course. Help them with some basic organization. How does somebody organize an online course? What kind of bucket should they be thinking about or categories?
So, Douglas, I'm going to bring my virtual assistant, Babushka, to help me answer this
Awesome.
question. So, Babushka, as you know, has different layers, and I want to talk about this in relation to an online course. So, in terms of organizing the course, first you need to think about the outer layer, the whole course, and start from what is the goal you want the whole course to deliver, not a list of internal steps, but the overall goal of the whole course. That's the outer doll. Then you have inside of that, you have what I call modules, like the sections, the big chunks of the course that you would see in a learning management system. If you look down, usually the left side, or if it was a book, you'd see the chapters of the book, the big sections. Within that, you have the lessons. And sometimes a lesson can have more than one piece of content in it. So I call those media items, or you could call them content items. So within the lesson, you could have, say, a video and a PDF or something like that. So that's the smallest level. So those are the layers, and we can put them back together.
Awesome. That's cool. That's great.
So, to Douglas's question earlier when we opened the show, what is the biggest mistake that online content or course creators make when they're creating their online course?
So, and I will share that I know it's a mistake because, like, I think every educator in the world, I've tried it this way and it doesn't work. So you're welcome. So the biggest mistake is that people start from this the smallest doll. They start from creating their content items rather than having a design plan for the whole course. So they don't understand where they want the course to go and how they want the learners to be different as a result of taking the course. Instead, they just think about, here's what I know, so let me just start making videos to share what I know. That is not effective to create real transformation in an online course.
And that's really the key. That's one of the things I love about your approach is you don't start with the content, you start with the transformation or
Right.
with the change. And selfishly, as somebody who's in the business, storytelling business, I mean, that's the same thing that we preach to people. You start with the transformation, you start with the change. That's the essence of a story. It's the essence of a great course.
I couldn't agree more. And, we talked about the idea of a course as something that takes you from point A to point B along a prescribed path. So you're traveling, you're moving forward. And if you were planning a trip, you don't plan your trip by saying, let me see what I have in my closet and throw it all in my suitcase. That doesn't get you anywhere. In fact,
I've tried that.
yeah, right. That just weighs you down. In fact, once you start planning your trip by determining the destination you want to go to, and that by itself eliminates a lot of things that you otherwise would have put in your luggage. So picking the destination first helps you define, the content and the media later.
Excellent. So, Rebecca, what are some of the myths about course creation that need to be addressed in your view?
So, well, I think the biggest myth is just that it's easy to create an online course just by doing what I just said doesn't work. Even if you've got a highly successful course in the offline space, and again, I speak from extensive experience, you cannot just digitize it and get an equally engaging experience online. So, the biggest myth is that learning doesn't need to be designed. And it's not even a myth, it's something people don't even think about, you
Right.
know. So it is true that you can make six figures with online courses, and there's a lot of um, the experts in course marketing who I'm very grateful to. I mean, they've created this wonderful market and made it possible for us to reach people and have an impact. But in order for that impact to work and not just expose people to information, the biggest myth is that learning design isn't important. It's critical.
Right.
Otherwise, you
It,
don't have a product that works. It's like you're selling something, but it doesn't do anything.
right. I think people miss the active aspect of it, where it's not just knowledge or information, it is, in fact, change. And that something has
Right.
to happen to your point about transformation. No, that's excellent.
And I
But,
think I'm sorry, in past conversations that we've had with you as well, Rebecca, is when you're creating a course, you don't want to just like data dump everything that you know about a
right.
subject, right? You need to be a little more particular about exactly what it is you want to share and if that's going to be helpful to the person taking the course. And you gave us a great metaphor one time about concrete. Did you
Oh,
share
Yeah.
pouring
that?
Let me just
yeah.
jump in very quickly. I want to give you some of the feedback from people who are watching.
Oh, I can't wait to.
Rebecca's course is life changing. I love your metaphor using babushka. Um, Rebecca's teaching tools are so effective. Such an amazing teacher and mentor. I'm not making this stuff up. Uh, let's see.
Thank
Dan
you,
Cooney
everyone.
says, "How do you want the learners to be different?" That's great. Um, and then someone said, let's not even get started with build a course and earn while you sleep.
Right.
Um,
That's the
and then
biggest myth. Yeah.
yes, and then one last one so far is one reason completion rates are so low. Yep, absolutely.
Yes. What was the question about the difference you want to make? Could you repeat that one?
Yeah, let me pull that up. Hold
And
on.
thank you, everyone, for those wonderful
How
comments.
do
And
you want learners to be different? In other words, what's the change? What's the transformation?
that's the
Um,
key. That's the key right there. I don't know if you want me to talk about that at all.
we could come back to it, but so someone else said the creator's mindset matters. That's something you talk about. This person may be a former student. I've tried both, and a course with the right learning design is the only kind that can achieve real transformational results.
That right there is all
Yeah,
the things.
right.
That's the answer to the myth question and all the other questions.
And
And part of that is the concrete metaphor, how you get
Oh,
yes,
started. So let's get back to that.
I
okay, got
love
it.
that, Lisa Marie. Thank you for reminding me. So, if sometimes people, I have especially coaching clients, sometimes ask me to review a course they've already created with the idea that they're going to change it. And what I suggest to them, and usually, fortunately, people like this idea, is I say, rather than looking at something you've already worked so hard to create, it's in a concrete form, it's solid, it's going to be hard to change that. Why don't we instead say, what is your goal, and let's create a mold and we'll pour fresh concrete. It's not hard. You have the concrete is your stuff. You're not going to run out of that. So I really want course creators to feel confident in their stuff, and that we can easily create a mold that will create the end result you want. And then it's easy and fun to pour the concrete, and it automatically goes where you want it to go. Those Play-Doh toys that have the different,
The
um,
molds and the
yeah,
shapes.
and you put the Play-Doh in and it comes out as spaghetti or meatballs.
Right.
Well, if we put the right one of those slots on there, I don't know what you call those things that you put on, and you put your Play-Doh, which is your content, it'll come out like spaghetti because you're forcing it to come out like
You set it
spaghetti.
Right.
up that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rebecca, what is a great strategy to make sure that your students are staying interested when they're taking a course? Because as we all know, a lot of people go out and take a course and they never finish it. That's not helpful because the course creator ultimately they want people to finish the course and learn from it, right? So how do you keep the people who are taking the course participants engaged.
And Anessa Collins just raised the same point a little earlier. She said she's talking about low completion rates. So this is perfect.
Yes, yes, and Anessa is a brilliant mindset coach, so that's a good framework to think about mindset change. Um, so Anessa and I have a series of articles on LinkedIn about mindset change, so I'll just mention that. So
Excellent.
in terms of producing mindset change, you do what you're doing here today. You say, what's the wrong way? That's where you start, because people could choose that, but it's not going to work. So let's know that. Then we have to get into the details of what's the right way, which is the skill, right? But just learning the skill is not enough. You need to deeply tap into your why. So you need to help your learners be really in touch with why they want to do this. What's their life mission, their passion, for creating this course. That's why Just Earn Six Figures While You Sleep. Notice how unmotivated, you're sleeping. You're not even awake, paying attention. No, this is your life's work. And then they need to see inspiring role models of other people who've done this, who have succeeded. We just had some speaking, so that was very
Right.
inspiring to hear.
So to
And
keep
then,
the interest, though, sorry to interrupt, but to keep their interest, you've got a couple of things to help motivate people,
oh,
right?
to keep their interest. So that, yeah, but let me just say the last thing,
Sure.
which is support. You must provide long-term ongoing support. That's actually the key. So to keep their interest within that framework, remember we talked about the curiosity, the self-efficacy, and the achievement. So it's not just enough to do those things in general. You need to know for your specific audience, what are they curious about? What gives them a feeling of self-efficacy? Self-efficacy is the key. They will be interested if they do something and get results, something small, something tangible. I also feel that it's very unmotivating, and we've all had too much of it, to just sit in front of a screen with our eyes and our ears. Your course can get into the other sensory modalities. There's different activities. There's the, and I talk about in my book, there's multiple intelligences, there's different sensory modalities, and you can combine those in ways that create really fun activities. And there's lots of online tools for doing that. So if your media is matched to your content, which is matched to your learning goal, which is matched to your learner's interest, notice how much backwards design there is. But if you
Right.
do all those things, people will be very excited about the course and
So
very
talk a little
motivated
more
as they see
about self-efficacy. What does that mean? I love your analogies that you've used for that, and achievement.
So self-efficacy is, again, that 2-year-old saying, "Mommy, me do it." It's an innate human need to take effective action on our own behalf. Unfortunately, our entire education system in pretty much the whole world is geared towards not having us do that. It's geared towards
Right.
having us sit quietly and listen to someone else talk. Whereas we're designed to learn through interaction with nature, through trying things with our hands and so forth. So the more you can create activities that actually produce that, and based on your learner's own characteristics. So there's a lot of science behind that, but give them things to do that they can succeed at, that are small steps. That's where the self-efficacy comes in. And the best results are not, I got a good mark on my quiz. The best result is, I came to this course to do something in my real life, and now I can do it. That's the achievement piece. So when people see, for example, people come to my courses to learn how to create courses that work and get raving results from their audience, they come back and tell me they did that. That's telling me that it worked, and that's very rewarding for them. So that would
No, I
be
love that. So self-efficacy is mommy, me do, and then achievement is look, mommy, I did it, right?
exactly,
I
exactly.
love that. Um, Michael Dada just asked, is this being recorded? Yes, it is. It will be available on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And Michael also said, this meeting is changing my life right now. This is perfect timing for me. Rebecca, that's out to you, my friend, right there.
Thank you,
Um,
Michael.
so, you told us a story about hieroglyphics and traffic. This is a great way to talk about what you just mentioned in terms of interest and motivation. Could you
So
share that?
sure. This is, by the way, in chapter 11 of my book. So if you want to read it. So, and I do have to, embarrassingly say I did get a traffic ticket. That's part of the story. Okay. But it was many years ago. So remember we talked about curiosity, self-efficacy, and achievement, three different motivational factors. What I discovered is curiosity alone is not enough to keep someone engaged in an online course. So I love Egyptian hieroglyphics. I grew up in New York City. I always went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I loved all the Egyptian stuff. So I was very curious to learn Egyptian hieroglyphics. And way back in the dawn of online learning, there was a well-designed course, very nicely done, about Egyptian hieroglyphics. And I started taking it and I didn't persist in it. And I paid for it and everything. And I thought, this is a good course. I've paid for it. I'm interested. I didn't understand my own behavior. I was like, why am I not following through on this? Well, notice there was no external need for me to do it, right? It was purely based on my own interest. But what made me drop off was no feeling of self-efficacy. If the teacher had said, let's learn how to write your name in hieroglyphics, right? And then maybe make that into, to your question about keeping people engaged, make it into like a clay pendant that you could wear. Now you've got something to show, talk to your friends, right? Then you'd go, well, what else can I write? Maybe let's carve something in clay. I mean, you could make this a very, even though it's taught online, you could be doing things in the real world that are very dynamic and fun and give you that feeling of, oh, I can see my skills growing, right? But instead, I was just watching other people have a great time actually visiting pyramids in Egypt. I wasn't visiting a pyramid. I was home in front of a screen. So I wasn't getting that exciting experience. Meanwhile, at the same time, I got that traffic ticket I told you about. And in where I live now, California, they allow you to go to traffic school so you don't get, a negative mark on your driving record. So again, dawn of online learning. This was a very early but very well-designed course from the Department of Motor Vehicles on, what you should have known so you wouldn't have gotten that ticket. And you had to take it in 3 days, in order. And I was highly motivated because I did not want to pay more money on my insurance, and it was actually very well done. And it was fun. And you got that self-efficacy because every time you completed one of their very short chapters or lessons, you took a quiz. If you passed it, you were that much closer to getting out of this whole annoying thing and not having the negative mark on your driving record. So what I discovered was self-efficacy and achievement together, that's 2/3 of the equation, as opposed to curiosity is just 1/3. Ideally, you should have all three. And I actually, in my book, made up this fake math. It's not real math, but it gets the idea across, which is that curiosity plus self-efficacy plus achievement, the motivation, in other words, must be greater than, equal to, or preferably greater than the difficulty of learning something. Now, I won't get into this now, but the difficulty of learning something is a whole science of itself called cognitive load, and that's a whole nother thing to learn. But just so people know, there are ways of measuring these things and actually adjusting the dials of what you're doing with skill. We use the metaphor of flying an airplane with a whole instrument panel, and you can adjust them all relative to each other. So if the course is really hard and people don't have a lot of prior knowledge about it, you got to make it really engaging. You see what I'm saying? Whereas if the course is hard, but it's for rocket scientists, they're already interested. You don't have to go out of your way. They're fascinated to begin with.
So to repeat the non-equation equation,
Yeah.
is it curiosity, self-efficacy, and achievement have to be greater than the difficulty of learning?
Yeah, the cognitive
Okay.
load.
All right, so that's a perfect LinkedIn post for our viewers to put up there. The curiosity plus self-efficacy plus achievement has to be greater than the difficulty of learning. Okay, awesome. Beta testing, where you want to try to see, validate whether or not you've got a course that the marketplace will actually resonate with. Should you beta test a course before rolling it out? And if so, what strategies would you recommend?
Well, 1,000% yes. And, I would say that, the strategy probably depends on your context. If you're in an academic setting, or a research setting, you probably already have procedures for beta testing. If you're in the digital course marketplace, you probably call this running a pilot. And in that case, you're not only testing the learning, but also the marketability. So you probably want to, in the digital online space, you probably want to try selling it probably for less than you're ultimately going to sell it for. because you're asking your participants to give you detailed feedback as they go through it as well. Honestly, you should do that even for your full price course. You should always ask for detailed feedback, but the beta testers understand that they're getting, something for less because they are really going to give you a lot of feedback. So try it. I know for my master course, my original pilot beta test was a 6-week program, and people told me at the end they wanted it to be longer and they didn't want it to end, and I've modified it. But honestly, you should continue testing through every time you run a cohort. It's an iterative process. So I hope that answers the question.
Totally.
Yep.
So Kathleen Curtis Wolf has put
Hi,
out
Kathleen.
the equation for everyone. Curiosity plus self-efficacy plus achievement is greater than difficulty of learning. That is awesome.
Thank
Okay.
you, Kathleen. I'll create
So,
the post. I'll create the LinkedIn post for you.
so we've talked about piloting a course. Let's talk a little bit about platforms. What platform do you use for your course?
Well, I'm a Thinkific expert and a Thinkific partner. I love Thinkific. Uh, no platform is perfect. I really want to emphasize that, and no course is perfect either. So we need to let go of the perfectionism that we all have about our own selves and our platforms and everything. The reason I like Thinkific so much is that it makes it easy to create great learning design, to focus on the learning design. And it also has all the things you need for, selling your course and so forth. But they're all, I mean, Razuku is a good platform. Kajabi is good. There's so many. Moodle, if you're in an academic setting and you have an IT team backing you up, I love Moodle. If you're running the course on your own, though, I know very technically skilled people who are running courses, including myself, who are running Moodle courses on their own. It's a lot of work.
Hmm.
Just keep those things in mind. The best platform for you is the one that has the most critical features that you need, and the least negatives for you. So it's never going to be perfect. So just find something that works and get it out there. Thinkific allows everyone to have one free course and learn the platform while they're doing it. So that's one reason I love it too. It's low barrier to entry to get in there and actually see results.
That's
Oh,
good.
excellent.
Those of you who are watching, put in the chat the platform that you are using, if you
Oh,
would.
right.
We'd love to hear from the rest of you. We use Kajabi. Rebecca uses Thinkific. What do you guys use? Um, and Rebecca, Anissa says she uses your course design formula all the time, every day, in every piece of material that she creates. She mentions though, like blog post, lead magnets. Speak to that for just a second. What are some ways that we can leverage this design thinking in your approach to things, not only like courses, but social post, blog post, things like that?
I really appreciate Nessa bringing that up. And Sophie Lechner, who's a wonderful LinkedIn expert, has also made this point, which is that anytime you want to get an idea out of your head and into someone else's head, you're teaching. You're teaching in an elevator pitch. You're teaching in an email. So if you start by thinking, what's the result I want from this piece of communication, then you can design backwards. So and a lot of things do it correctly, sort of without unconsciously or partially correctly. So all the things that say, and we're doing this today, everything you know about XYZ is wrong, they're advocating mindset change. They're saying you're thinking about this the wrong way, you need to think about it a different way. You know, then if you understand the course design formula, you then have all the steps you need to structure your thing. And I created a very short, like 1.5 minute sort of digital interaction of mindset change that just had wrong, right, why, just the steps. So now if you can also use this to design a whole enterprise, something bigger than your course, you know? So for example, my book is a how-to. I teach you how to teach anything to anyone online. It took me 6 cohorts of my course. I'm not embarrassed to say this because I want to be a good role model, to discover that my course was not a how-to. My course was a cognitive strategy where you learn, how to apply this methodology to your material. That's what makes the course valuable. It's not just abstract. You're learning how to apply it to your stuff. My whole business, if the biggest doll is my whole business, and many people have this structure, by the way, is mindset change, which means I have to provide a lot of ongoing support to promote this mindset change. You don't just tell people you need to eat healthy, right? You have to be there long term to support them and give them inspiring role models and let them share their success and inspire other people. And so, once you understand what you're trying to do, it tells you how to structure everything from your business to an elevator pitch. So I really appreciate Anessa bringing that up. Thanks,
Well,
Anessa.
that's great. We've gotten some great responses. Teachable. A number of people said, I'm going to say it
Coach's
wrong.
console.
How do you say it? Go ahead, Lisa Marie.
Oh, Coach's console.
Oh, yes, because a lot of people like Coach's Console,
And what's the
especially if
one
you are
that's,
a coach.
is it Rizuko? Rizuko?
Rizuku has very good discussion platform, for example. Yeah.
I'm trying to see what other ones. Those seem to be some of the main ones there. Let's, Rebecca, let's move to our 2 closeout questions that we ask every guest. First, what's something you've learned in the last 6 months that might be useful to our viewers?
In the last 6 months, I've noticed that we're sort of emerging from this very
Tempet-
tempestuous and tumultuous. I was trying to
yes,
say hot mess. How's that?
yes,
Time period that we're moving through, and so in a way that's it's challenging for all of us, but it's good news for course creators because people need to learn a lot of things, and people need to change fast. And so what I've learned is that you can get really good results by looking for something short and quick that you can create. Remember the self-efficacy piece that will give people a feeling of achievement, especially in these times when we don't feel often very good about ourselves because we're struggling with so much. What can you do as an expert in your field that would help people? So I've discovered that it's highly impactful. I call it the potato chip workshop, to instead of serving a whole meal, just a potato chip. In other words, what can you do that combines your greatest strength with your audience's worst pain point? So it's easy and fun for you to create, and they'll scarf it up like a potato chip because it really addresses an urgent need. I tried it myself for my potato chip workshop. I only wanted to sell 4 spots and I sold 10. So that works, proof of concept. So
yes.
I'm excited about the idea of people, to Anessa's point of you can use this formula on small things as well as big things. Let's get some stuff out there that will help people. I kind of feel like educators are a different kind of frontline workers. We're at the front line of helping people cope with these times. So it's a great opportunity to be of service.
Well said.
Excellent. And our second closeout question, Rebecca, is there a business challenge that you're facing where one of our viewers today might be of help to you?
I so need help. I would be so grateful. So the business challenge I have is you've got 2 systems. The digital media system allows you to create unlimited stuff and get it out there while you sleep, so to speak, right? But as we've said, that doesn't create effective learning. Effective teaching requires a lot of intensive, often one-on-one or small group work from the teacher, but that's not scalable. I'm looking for a way to create a scalable online business that doesn't sacrifice impact and effectiveness. So if you think of, you've got a what's called a balancing system, which is the amount of time you have. You can only book as many coaching calls or whatever as you need. And so a lot of people go, okay, great, then let's create courses. But the course still has to have some kind of component of, connectedness and liveness to
And
really,
feedback.
yes. So I need help from someone who understands the relationship between, I think they're called dynamic systems, the relationship between balancing systems and I forget the word for the systems that are infinite. How can we make this work so that course creators don't burn out, but also and do earn a good living, but also don't skimp on the piece that I'm really passionate about, which is making sure everything you teach produces real change. Help.
Okay, so if someone can help Rebecca with that, please reach out to Rebecca.
Yeah.
And so that brings us to a close. Unfortunately, this has gone by so quickly. It's been so
I
much
know.
fun. But thank you so much for joining us, Rebecca. And audience, please reach out to Rebecca on LinkedIn at Rebecca F as in Frost Cuevas, or on her website at learnandgetsmarter.com. And in the outro, we'll share the QR code for her book, Course Design Formula. And remember, if you're a content creator, be sure to grab your free ebook, Business Storytelling from A to Z. We'll have a QR code for that as well at the end of the show. So thank you again, Rebecca. And thank you, everyone who joined us today and all your comments. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, stay well, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Rebecca, thank you so much. I'm reading your book as we speak. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
much.
everyone.